70% of adults over 50 struggle with sleep. Most reach for a supplement. Most buy the same bottle every single month. Melatonin, magnesium, Valerian capsules, Passionflower extract. Month after month, year after year. What most people do not know is that every single one of those supplements comes from a plant that grows in your garden, or could. Heather Irvine is a clinical herbalist with the Herbal Academy, one of the world's most respected herbal education institutions. She has spent her career proving that the plants most of us already grow, or could grow in almost any garden, are some of the most powerful sleep and calm support available anywhere. In the next 15 minutes, she is going to show you 5 of them, what they do, how to grow them, and how to use them. Your garden is already a pharmacy. Most gardeners just never got the key.
Valerian, which is my first ever herb for personal use for sleep.
This talk was recorded at a past Grow Your Own Vegetables event, where clinical herbalist Heather Irvine of the Herbal Academy shares the garden plants that support sleep, calm, and restoration. For more information, free resources, and gentle guidance, you can find us at growyourownvegetables.org. And to grow alongside other gardeners just like you, join our free community at gyov.org.
We have holy basil, or Tulsi, and the genus here should be Ocimum. There are many different varieties, and these also are used in teas and honeys and are quite nice tasting. Most of our, cultural and traditional use is informed by use in India and in Ayurveda, where it's used really extensively as a daily beverage and also sort of a panacea. But I would say nice bright flavor. It's what we call an adaptogen, which means it's both somewhat kind of grounding, but still sort of promotes like a nice calm energy. So nice sort of endocrine tonic and pleasant. Although you'll find zillions more uses if you look into it. It's also beneficial for the bees, so yet another reason to grow it. It won't be hardy in all climates. So in the north, like in zones 5, or even perhaps, let's say in zone 5, it's not probably going to overwinter, although you might have a little overwinter if you get the sort of the temperate climate varieties, though not a guarantee. In warmer climates, it is, prone to potentially be a sort of softer and smaller perennial. So there's the potential for that as well. Many different varieties of this, however, all of them useful and similarly. We have Valerian, which is my first ever herb for personal use, for sleep herb, and the root is the part used in some, older books or different traditional uses. You might find uses for the flower and leaf as well, and stem, and that's fine. It's just primarily I've used the root. And do definitely be absolutely positive of ID. I wouldn't suggest harvesting it from the wild, as there are a few plants like poison water hemlock and relatives that could look a bit like this to you if you're not absolutely certain of the differences and also of the really specific scent that the root has. So where to grow this? I wouldn't necessarily put it in the middle of a small garden. It gets pretty tall and can spread. It will do really nicely if the soil is somewhat loose and somewhat wet, often growing kind of in little, wet soil areas in the wild. And, sort of more like the edge of a garden or a yard or sort of semi-wild space is a bit more appropriate, unless you're really dedicated to it and only have a small space. And then just remember that this is the tall kid in the garden, because it will grow potentially even, taller than a person. how do you harvest it? So generally after the second or third year, and generally if you have a little, you have a lot, the root will smell quite aromatic and a little bit kind of unusual or unpleasant until you're kind of accustomed to it. So you want to wash it really well because soil does sort of lodge into the roots, and then dry or tincture or make an infused honey or glycerate. And the specific indication is for someone who has trouble initially falling asleep or sort of a lengthy restlessness.
And here is where it gets extraordinary. Heather is about to reveal a plant that most gardeners already grow as an ornamental, without ever knowing it is one of the gentlest, most effective sleep herbs available.
We have California poppy, Eschscholzia californica. So this one is yet another sleep herb. All parts are used in this case, top to bottom. Think of it for sort of well-drained soil, sort of, ideally in a hot climate, though we grow it in the north as well. The seeds are small, and the very young plants are very thin, and so I like to seed them very close, or seed it very dense, so that when the plants are kind of thin and sort of frail to potential, drying or dehydration, they provide a little protection to each other and also protection against early weeds, but in kind of a loose, crumbly, sort of Californian soil can do quite well. Technically an annual, but reseeds very easily, so I'm calling it an annual/perennial. And you plant it pretty shallow. The seeds are small. It's a taproot, so not really recommended to transplant. It's tedious, but if you're dedicated to it and want to move some plants, I have achieved that. And again, the entire plant is used in small amounts in preparations like tinctures or infused into vegetable glycerin or perhaps even honey. And it's an herb for someone who has trouble because they're waking up in the early hours of the morning. We have Passionflower. So this one is really impressive to see, and it's a really vigorous vine. So in some places you might even consider it a little on the naggy or invasive category of things. So we have kind of a zone 6 or a warmer climate plant here. In zone 5 you would want to bring it indoors, and grows quite easily from cuttings or from a plant. The plant pictured here is the one partial summer's growth, not even the entire summer, from a small plant purchased at a garden center for Passionflower incarnata. That's the part that we use herbally, or the species we use herbally. There are many other ornamental varieties. Should you want to use it as an herb, then the flowers and the leaf are the primary part used. Yet another relaxant that is used as a gentle sleep aid typically. Another photo of it. That's kind of the color pattern you're looking for in the flower, for something that's kind of like the wild species. You can also grow it by layering. So since it's a vine that grows vigorously generates roots from the vines or stem, that's a possibility as well. And you'd just want to bury a little bit of the vine in about an inch of soil, secure it, and then tell anybody who shares a garden with you that this is intentional, or else they might pull it up out of the soil.
And there are 2 more. One of them helps with headaches and tension. The other soothes your respiratory system. Stay with us.
Feverfew, another familiar garden plant. So this is a nice kind of cooling, relaxant garden plant, not in the way of being a sedative, but cooling, has been used for some sorts of headaches. I would say it has a nice kind of like relaxant, gentle effect on the vasculature, and therefore can have some nice effects for tension and headaches that could be associated with dehydration, stress, etc. It does flower. I've just almost exclusively used my own photos or used the Herbal Academy. So in this case, this is a photo of the leaf only, which is a part used, and the flowers are used as well. We have Marshmallow, Althea officinalis. So I noticed this photo could look a little bit like hollyhock, and that's a species you don't want to confuse this with. You want Marshmallow, either Althea officinalis or sometimes like wild varieties that are a little smaller and sometimes pink in flower can be called Malva moschata, but not hollyhock. All parts of the plant of Marshmallow, Althea officinalis, are used as demulcents. The leaf, the flower, the root. And so by demulcent, I mean it's moistening to the mouth, to the throat, even to sort of the respiratory system or upper respiratory tract, for like dry sort of, dry ailments of the respiratory tract, and also can have some benefit, particularly the root, for the digestive tract in being moistening and somewhat moving along with that. It's a perennial, and it's a plant that you can grow from seed or plants. It can tolerate a dry environment, but it will really flourish if it's a little bit wetter. But pretty vigorous, and once it's established, quite robust, and the roots will be quite big and extensive. I have Elecampane, which you might consider more of like a wild plant or sort of farm occurrence, semi-weed type of plant. This is not to be mistaken with Jerusalem artichoke or with the native sunflowers or anything like that. It's also not to be used with animals because part of the reason that we might find it around pastures is that it can be poisonous to some livestock, including horses and cows. So I don't experiment with this one with animals, but we do know that with humans it seems to be quite agreeable for supporting the respiratory system, and that can be during colds and flus, being a little bit expectorant and also a little bit demulcent. And the root is the only part used. I don't use the above ground parts for this one, but the root can be infused in honeys and is quite nice, or can be dried and be made into a nice tea. You might add some spearmint or something with a little bit more familiar flavor to make it a little more palatable. Also sometimes soothing for someone who has sort of a chronic respiratory irritation, either from like former smoking or perhaps even occupational exposure. We have chicory, yet another useful weed. Chicorum intybus, and I don't say that Latin name often, but chicory it is. The leaf, flower, and root, all of it useful as a digestive bitter. Pretty plain and simple, going to stimulate digestive secretions, going to potentially even help balance blood sugar just in a mild, supportive way. And although the flowers can be nibbled for these, for the purpose of a digestive bitter, the root can be dried and used as a coffee substitute, somewhat like a little bit of, along the line of kind of a mildish decaf. Not stimulating, but has that kind of nice, satisfying, bitter flavor that many of us are used to in the morning, and also helps to get the digestive system ready to work well. along the lines of digestive bitter, we also have artichoke leaf. And so by leaf, I actually mean the bracts. As herbalists, we often call it leaf. And there may be uses for that bigger leaf as well, but I'm talking about the bracts that you see in sort of the forefront of this picture that surround the more tender heart of the artichoke. So if you're growing artichokes, it's a lot of plant, it's a lot of space for a little bit of reward and thrill, but now you'll know one other way that you can use something that's often considered a little bit more of a byproduct of this plant, infused in honeys or tinctures or nibbled on its own, also dried or in tea. There are a couple different words used for, depending on how cultivated the particular variety, and I've included those, but we're talking about the Cynara genus, either Scolimus or Cardunculus. We have Spilanthes, and this is a weird one that I love. Native to kind of more tropical climates, a fast grower, and annual in any temperate climate. It actually will, I find, die off even a little bit before the first frost. So when the temperatures are in like the 40s Fahrenheit, these plants, you can go out and see these plants will be toast. So it's one of the first things to make sure you're completely harvesting if you wish to, if you're in a temperate climate and the fall is approaching. Acmella oleracea is the Latin name. Grows fast from seed. Becomes a little bit vining. It kind of has a habit like, like impatiens, or like a small ground cover that sort of like bridges the habit between like vine or ground cover. And I found if you start it in the greenhouse or in trays, it does just fine, even if it's not especially getting a ton of light. I think it's adapted to grow in understories, but the thing is it's a little bit of a bully, so you might need to move it out of your trays or greenhouse a little bit before other plants, because it can kind of cover them up. Let's see, so it's got this really unique characteristic, that center disc part of the composite flower, which is practically the whole flower in this case. If you taste it, will make your mouth tingle like crazy. And it's got all sorts of, it's sometimes called toothache plant, and it's got all sorts of interesting uses to support tooth and mouth health, gum health, etc.
Think about the bottle on your bedside table, the one you buy every month without thinking. Now look at what you know. Holy basil, adaptogen, calm energy, daily tea, grows like a weed. Valerian, for the night you cannot fall asleep, growing at the edge of your garden. California poppy, for the 3 a.m. wake up, self-seeding freely every year. Passionflower, the most beautiful vine in your garden, a gentle sleep aid. Feverfew, for the tension headache that keeps you awake. Heather Irvine has spent her career proving that the plants most of us grow as ornamentals are some of the most powerful medicine available anywhere. Your garden was always a pharmacy. Now, you have the key. You are not the gardener who only grows food anymore. You are the one who sees medicine in a passionflower, who grows sleep in a valerian root, who understands that your garden can support your body in ways that go far beyond the dinner plate. That is what knowing this does to a gardener. If you want to keep going deeper, there is a whole community of people growing extraordinary food and healing herbs the same way, completely free, waiting for you at growyourownvegetables.org. This talk was given at a past Grow Your Own Vegetables event. If it inspired you, imagine 4 days with 15 of the world's most trusted gardeners, homesteaders, herbalists, and soil educators, each sharing their single most powerful lesson, completely free. Whether the summit is live right now or you are watching this later, you can still register and access everything.